Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Tanya, and today's episode is packed. My watch list has been unhinged in the best way. My audiobook has me questioning reality, and the upcoming movie slate is basically engineered for my personality. So buckle up, because we're diving into everything I'm currently consuming this week. Before we get into it, here's your official spoiler warning. I'll be talking about ongoing seasons, finales, plot twists, and a few upcoming releases. So if you're not caught up on shows like Welcome to Derry, our feature, or like Palm Royale, Surviving Mormonism, or Amazing Race, consider this your heads up. I'll keep things light, but you know me, sometimes the commentary slips. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to Derry, episode 8, Winterfire, the season finale. This one is packed visually, emotionally, and lore wise. So I'm going to walk you through it from the very beginning, and then we'll walk about how it ties in with the larger It universe. So this episode opens with this thick, unnatural fog rolling through Derry. And immediately the adults are in full on panic mode, running, scrambling for shelter, completely losing it. It's chaos. And it sets the tone right away. There's even this creepy woman staring out of a window with a red balloon behind her, and it gave me total Smile vibes. She has that creepy smile, and then the balloon kind of floats up. It's a perfect early reminder that Derry's not okay. Then we cut to the high school. I think it's high school. I'm not sure if it's high school or junior high school. And a voice comes over the intercom calling all the students to the auditorium. But we know it's Pennywise because we literally see his creepy, bloody clown hand hit the button. It's such a small detail, but it's so effective. And then he speaks over the intercom in the principal's voice. I just want to say, too, the costumes in this show, the 50s and 60s styling, I really enjoyed the detail from the skirts to the hair bows to the cars and the cardigan sweaters and the setting. It was really good set design and costume design. So the kids gather in the auditorium, and the principal walks out on stage, and something's very wrong. He's clearly not in control of himself, almost trance-like, like puppet-like. Then his head kind of tilts forward and his toupee falls off, and not a single kid laughs, so you know something's wrong. And that's when the horror is about to hit. And then it does, hard. Pennywise throws the principal's now headless body into the audience and then literally punts the head across the room. The kids try to escape, but the doors won't open. And it's one of the most intense sequences of the season, quite honestly. Now, if you've been watching the season, you know Pennywise doesn't fully show up, I think, until up around 4 or 5. But once he does, Bill Skarsgård is all in. And honestly, I think he's even better here than in the movies. He has more room to stretch and to play and just to be unsettling in new ways. After the intro, we shift to Ronnie, Marge, and Lily, the prequels version of the Proto Losers Club. So they're up in the watchtower, cleaning up after Richie's death, sweeping. I'm not really sure why they felt that was important at that point in time. But from up there, they see the fog rolling through the town. And because they're above it, they're not affected by it like you'll see that the kids and the other adults are, and the adults in the town are affected. The watchtower, when they go downstairs, they see it's plastered with missing posters. Clearly Pennywise is doing, because the adults are too far gone to care. They're all possessed by that evil, creepy, smiley thing. And when the girls see posters of their own friends, it really hits them hard. And that's when Marge says, "We're going to kill this effing clown." And honestly, it's an iconic line. I could see memes coming from that line. So you see the girls struggling. They try to hop on a bike together, all three of them, but it's not happening. So they spot the milk truck, and Marge, who you kind of perceive as this nerdy, underestimated girl all season, this follower of sorts. She just wants to be in with the crowd, no matter what the cost. She jumps in and she convinces the girls that she can drive it. And then she actually kind of does. And so this is the moment where her inner badass really starts to shine. So I think this is really the moment that I started to like Marge and not be annoyed by her. Meanwhile, Pennywise is out in the woods playing piano and trumpet at the same time, like a one clown band, and the kids are floating behind his circus trailer like he's the Pied Piper. It's kind of a chilling visual, and I really think the show is leaning into that symbolism of, following and wanting to be part of the crowd, wanting to be normal, and then here's this Pied Piper that's getting all the kids to follow him. So maybe there's something there. Let me know what you think about that. Then we cut to Dick Halloran. Yes, from The Shining. And he's in a really dark place. Pennywise has opened his mental box, and all the dead voices he's kept locked away come flooding back. He's drinking, smoking, suicidal, and completely overwhelmed by all of these voices of the dead. Will's father, Major Hanlon, begs him to help because Pennywise has taken Will. Dick doesn't want to. He kind of just wants to collapse and implode on himself, but he cares about Will, and that's kind of what pulls him out of this pity fest for himself. We then see the military leaders, the ones that originally brought the military to the town to search for this ancient evil. And they're watching the fog consume Derry on radar. And Dick and Major Hanlon drive to meet Hanlon's wife, Charlotte, who's furious at her husband for letting this thing take Will. Then they meet up with Rose, who's this Native American elder who understands the primitive evil Pennywise represents. I kind of feel like it might be a Wendigo or a Wendigo. I think it's pronounced Wendigo. She realizes they can use Dick's shining ability to locate the shard or a dagger that's made of the same material as the pillars the military stole that are there to keep this evil contained in the woods. Because the military is trying to weaponize Pennywise's energy, which is insane. You can't contain something that ancient and evil. But the shard is the key to containing what I think might be, again, this Wendigo and trapping him again. Rose gives Dick a potion made from roots and herbs, but it hits too fast and he misses some really important instructions she's trying to tell him. I think it's something like don't go through any doors or something, but that doesn't really make sense. So I don't think that's what she says. But suddenly he's seeing through Marge's eyes as the girls drive the milk truck because he's tracking the dagger. So his shining capability hones in on the dagger and where it is. And therefore he can see in the vehicle with the kids. So back with the girls, Lily becomes possessed with the dagger. So the girls crash and the dagger flies out of the truck, and I want to say Ronnie tries to pick it up, but Lily goes nuts. And so they realize that no one can hold it too long without being consumed by it. So they make a pact to share it equally and pass it around so that no one's holding on to it too long. And right after they make that pact with the dagger, Lily kind of has this moment where she finally realizes her friends really do love her, and it's tender and it's grounding. And then the show immediately rips us right back out of that beautiful moment because they look up and they see the kids of Derry floating in the air behind the trailer. Their eyes are glowing and they're drifting through the fog like they're sleepwalking through a nightmare. And among them, they find Will, one of their own. So then all of a sudden the weather starts to turn and a blizzard kind of hits. But it's weird because it's not winter. I think it's summer or spring, but it shouldn't be snowing anyways at all. And the fog and the snow merge into this supernatural whiteout, and they can barely see anything, and the girls are trapped right in the middle of it. Pennywise appears. He crawls out of the circus carriage, and he's like grossly drooling and blowing his horn and radiating pure evil. And he starts running circles around them in the fog because he gets terrified by the shard, which is a threat to him. It's like kryptonite for him. And they can't see him or track him, so they can't stab him because if they can't aim it and see him, they can't do anything with it against him. And he knows this. So he's just continually causing chaos, flying and zooming around them because he's everywhere and nowhere all at once. Then he grabs Marge's legs and yanks her out and her glasses fly off. So now she's really blind because she's already gotten one eye poked out and then her good eye needs the glasses and those are gone. So all she can see is this blurry, monstrous shape inches from her face. It was a really terrifying scene. So meanwhile, while all of this is going on, the adults, Dick, Halloran, Rose, Taniel, who is Rose's son, and the parents of Will Hanlon, Charlotte and Leroy, or Lee as they call him, are out searching for the kids. They're trying to track them through the fog, but Pennywise is always one step ahead. And this is where Pennywise plays his cruelest card yet. He shows Marge this missing child poster, but not from now. It's from the future, from 1988 or 9. I can't remember when that movie takes place. And it's her son, aptly named Richie Tozier. It's the same Richie from the first It movie. and I guess the subsequent It movie as well. And Marge is only 13, so she doesn't understand what she's looking at. And that's when you kind of realize that time is like this constant loop and it means nothing in Derry. And this isn't just a story about Pennywise. This is the whole Stephen King universe because you have Dick Halloran in The Shining. You've got references to it, the movie, and it's Derry, Maine, which is a good majority of Stephen King, where Stephen King's universe takes place in. So you're now realizing that this is a King multiverse. This isn't just about that one story, It, and a prequel to that. This is also where the show makes it clear that the Stephen King universe is just blending together. Right? So the timelines are blending, the mythology is expanding. And then all of a sudden, while he's leaning over Marge with his big wide mouth and teeth and the fiery flames coming out of his mouth, Pennywise freezes mid-attack, just stops. And the kids drop out of the sky like puppets with their strings cut. They have no memory of what happened. They're all standing on a frozen lake now, literally and metaphorically. And then we realize Dick uses Shining and he's inside of Pennywise's mind. So he's kind of playing tricks with Pennywise. And it cuts to a Pennywise memory from when he was Bob Gray. That's his human personality, the sideshow performer. And his carny friends are kind of gathered around him and telling him he took a bump on the head. And it's very Wizard of Oz coded, that dreamlike, you were there and you were there kind of energy. But one of the carnies says something that didn't make sense to Pennywise, or might be something he wouldn't have said. And Pennywise notices and he rips off the guy's face and head almost like as if it's a mask. That's not a particularly gory scene. It's just he realizes he's fake and he uncloaks Dick Halloran, and Pennywise kind of kicks him and he flies out of the trailer, and, subsequently, basically Dick Halloran is thrown out of his mind. So back on the ice, the Lieutenant General Francis Shaw approaches the frozen Pennywise. And when Pennywise unfreezes, Shaw arrogantly is like, you're free to go. Go. And Pennywise giggles. At first he's like, I'm free. I'm going to go off and cause more chaos and turmoil somewhere. And then he stops and he turns and he sniffs the air and he says, I know you. I never forget a smell. And that's kind of also reminds you that this primitive evil is very beast-like, very animal-like. I don't know if you've ever heard of, a lion, those wildcats, lions and tigers, and even dogs actually don't forget a scent for at least 5 years. So like if you befriend a baby tiger and then 5 years come back, they kind of remember you. At least that's what I've seen and heard. And then Pennywise transforms into the creature Shaw saw as a child in the woods with Rose and devours him because he was there way, way back. And you'll see that in earlier episodes. He was there way, way back with Rose and left the town, and, his memories left him. So then the adults find themselves surrounded by the military at that point, and they're pleading with them to help kill Pennywise, but the military refuses, and they call Major Hanlon a traitor, of course. And so the adults take matters into their own hands, and they grab the soldiers' guns. So it's Charlotte and Major Hanlon. It's Ronnie's dad, name is escaping me at the moment, and Taniel and Rose, and they grab the guns to try to go after Pennywise, and they know that they can't kill him, but they can at least slow him down because the kids are trying to get that shard over to the tree to bury it where the pillar was. So Major Hanlon is limping on his injured leg, and he manages to blow Pennywise's head clean off, like with a few shots, multiple shots. And here, yes, this scene is gross, but at the same time, it's also very gorgeous. Like you see the blood kind of floating through the air, but it's very dark. It's very black. It's not red. And I think that's because Pennywise's hair is so red and orange and striking, and they don't want anything to compete with that. So you don't see anything bright and colorful. The blood is just very dark. And then when the corpse pops open, a Jack-in-the-Box head kind of pops off of his head. And I shouldn't say corpse because we know it's just a body at that point, just a container. And it pops open like a Jack-in-the-Box and a new Pennywise head springs out, but it has glowing eyes. So while this is all happening and the kids are trying to bury the dagger at the base of the tree, Will is all of a sudden gets controlled by the dagger and he's being pulled away. And they're fighting with him to try to push together and trying to force it into the ground, but they can't do it alone. And then Richie comes back. He's the friend who died in the previous episode, the one that professes his love on his deathbed to Marge. It was the most adorable scene ever. He puts her in the freezer to protect her from the fire at the black spot. And he confesses that he's had a secret crush on her this whole time, but he doesn't make it and passes away from smoke inhalation in the fire. But he appears in spirit form and he puts his hand on the dagger with them as he pushes it down. But I should say the funny part is as he's running past the adults and Dick sees him because he can see spirits, he runs past Pennywise and he gives Pennywise the bird. So that's like classic Richie. But that scene is so emotional and heartwarming. It just gives you a little bit of comic relief and you need a little bit of break from all the chaos that's happening. So I think it was just some mercy from the directors and the writers. And then we get to the final stretch of the episode. And this is where the show quietly drops its biggest reveal, not a jump scare or in a twist, but in this very clear moment of choice. After everything that's happened, the blizzard, the battle, the dagger, the loss, the Hanlons are packing up his car. I should say the kids are able to get the pillar into the ground safely. They flip to the scene where they're at Richie's funeral and Dick Halloran tells Richie's parents that he's there and he's giving comfort to people and they feel like his presence, but they don't know that. They just know they feel something. And Dick Halloran assures them that it is Richie at the funeral. And then after that, it flips to a scene where Rose is trying, the Hanlons are packing up, Ronnie and her dad are packing up, and they want to leave Derry behind. And Rose is standing there because she's getting ready to leave too. And she's trying to convince the Hanlons to stay and take over her farm, really to fight against the evil for the generations that her family has fought against and tried to protect the people in the town. But then they're getting in the car, and Charlotte says, we fight battles separately. You fight in the military against the battles you fight, and I fight against the Jim Crow laws and that type of thing separately. So why not stay and take this crusade on together? And it's subtle, but it's powerful because what Rose is really passing on is a responsibility and a legacy, and she's handing them this job of guarding the cage that holds Pennywise. It's their turn now, their burden, their watch, because Rose has sacrificed so much already. And then the screen fades, the music rises, and the words appear, Chapter 1. Welcome to Derry, Chapter 1. And that's when you realize this wasn't a limited series. This was just the beginning. And like a Marvel movie, it isn't over. So we're placed inside this hospital corridor right after after that scene, you think the credits are going to come up, but it flips you forward into this hospital corridor. And immediately the tone is different because they show Ingrid, who is Pennywise's daughter and the woman who in earlier episodes, you'll remember befriends Lily Bainbridge, one of the kids. And she's now in the Jupiter Hill Asylum as a patient. She was a housekeeper, the head housekeeper there when she befriended Lily for her short stay there. It seems like people go to Juniper Hill Asylum for like 2 days, 3 days, and then they get out, which I don't think is actually historically accurate, but it works for the show. She's screaming really uncontrollably, and then the orderlies start to play a record, which has the song she would perform to when she would play Periwinkle with her father, Bob, who was Pennywise the dancing clown. Then the scene changes to an older woman painting, and suddenly it says 1988, 26 years later. And we know from earlier episodes when Rose was speaking to her family and the other elders that it sleeps for 27 years in between. So we're just before the entity wakes up again. And the older woman who's painting, hears crying and screaming down the hall. So she steps out and nurses are crying in the hall. Police are there. And you can feel that Derry specific dread creeping in. And then the woman who we realize now is the older Ingrid walking towards the noise, and the camera lingers just long enough for us to feel it, that this isn't random and there's something personal and something connected here. She stands looking into the scene where a woman who has just hung herself, assumably a patient, and her family is in the room, and the daughter turns, and it's Beverly Marsh. Not just a cameo, not a wink to the audience. This is Beverly in the middle of her grieving mother's suicide at Juniper Hill. And it's then that the prequel directly intersects with the Losers Club. Then Ingrid says to Beverly not to worry. She says, no one who dies in Derry ever really dies. And the way she says it is calm and eerie and almost knowing. It hits like a warning and a prophecy at the same time. And then this is when you realize this episode isn't just a standalone story, and it's not just tying into the It movies, but it's also locking itself into the continuity of the film and the universe. So all in all, Winterfire, I felt like was a very strong finale because it blends character arcs, lore expansion, and pure horror so seamlessly. And once we get to the final scenes, which tie directly into the film, everything starts to click into place. So if you haven't rewatched the movie yet, this episode practically demands that you go back and watch it. So if you've only ever seen it once, because now that we've seen this moment through the prequel lens, the entire It universe feels so much more connected, more intentional, and way more haunting. And overall, I really enjoyed this series, and I can't wait for more seasons and more expansions of this King multiverse. And here's the part that has me really excited. HBO has officially confirmed that Welcome to Derry is a 3-part series. So we got the first season now. We're going to get seasons 2 and 3, and each is going to dive deeper into Pennywise's history and the history of Derry itself. So season 2 is confirmed to take place in 1935, right into the heart of the Depression era. And this is the period of the Bradley Gang Massacre, one of the most infamous events in Pennywise's feeding cycle. And we're going to see younger versions of the characters we already know, plus new faces who were part of Derry long before the Losers Club. And then season 3 goes back another 27 years to 1908 to the Kitchener Ironworks explosion, which is another major event from Mike Hanlon's research for the original novel. And this is deep lore territory. This is the foundation of Derry's curse. So what I love is that the show isn't treating Pennywise as a linear creature. He doesn't move through time the way that we do. He jumps, he slips, he appears where the fear is richest. That's what he feeds off of. That's what this entity needs to stay alive. And these next seasons are going to explore exactly how and why he does that. And yes, Bill Skarsgård is expected to return for both seasons. They'll be aging him down, up, bending him through time. We're probably going to see Pennywise younger, older, and everything in between. All right. So here is what I am currently consuming. The part of the show where I take you through the absolute chaos that is my weekly watch list. Because apparently, I don't know how to just watch one thing at a time. So first up, I'm still deep in Palm Royale on Apple TV. The fashion, the secrets, the slow burn mess. I'm committed. I'm invested, and I'm not okay, but I'm here. Then, because the algorithm knows me better than I know myself, I started watching Surviving Mormonism right after finishing The Secret Lives of Mormon Housewives or Mormon Wives. I never can get that right, on Hulu. And listen, this is my new fascination. I can't look away. I don't know what it is. It's just, I guess it's because it's almost like a secret society. I'm also catching up on The Amazing Race because I wrapped Survivor season 49, and apparently I needed more people running, sweating, and making questionable decisions under pressure. And don't forget, Paradise season 2 hits Hulu on February 23rd, and I will be seated. Can't wait. I feel like hopefully it will fly by. And it's also around the time the next season, season 50 of Survivor starts. I also have a link on my Facebook page and maybe Instagram too, where you can enter. They're going to bury idols in all 50 states this season. There's a countdown. It tells you when it's going to start, but you can enter as well. Just give them your email address, and then when it's ready to start, you can try to find the idol. I don't know what it's going to do for us. As far as what I'm reading, I'm still listening to King Sorrow by Joe Hill, and I'm thoroughly confused, deeply confused. But I also can't stop listening. I feel like it's 3 or 4 books in one, and I'm listening. Every chapter is a different, like it just flips back and forth between different books, but I can't turn it off. So if you're reading or listening to this, let's start a conversation. Check me on the socials. Let me know what you think. Movie wise, The Housemaid drops the day after Christmas and it looks deliciously dark. It looks crazy. Both actresses look like they're completely insane, quite frankly. And I wonder if there's going to be like this weird twist, but it's pretty obvious that Amanda Seyfried is the crazy one. So for 2026, though, since we're so close, I watched a bunch of trailers and I'm already counting down to Scream 7 and the hide and seek sequel, Ready or Not, Here I Come, which is the perfect title. There's this one called Mercy, which is an AI crime thriller, and it looks really incredible. And it's available in 3D, which feels like a choice I'm going to make. That one's so interesting because I'm also semi-obsessed with AI right now and learning more about that and how to use it in my world, both professionally and privately. And then I think the kicker is going to be Rachel McAdams and Send Help. Because I already know I'm going to identify with her character. You've already heard me say I like Survivor, and the trailer makes mention of Survivor. The character is trying to try out for Survivor, and that's what everyone in the office is kind of making fun of her for it. And that one hits theaters in January, so I'm definitely going to that. The Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping looks really good, so yes, yes, and yes. And finally, I saw a teaser for a movie called The Internship, starring the actress who played Elizabeth on The Blacklist, which was another obsession I had. And she's searching for her daughter who's being hunted by the Russian mob. And anyone who watched The Blacklist knows that there's a tie, and that Elizabeth was the child of an American spy and a Russian spy. Or we don't know that. We don't know who her father was. We don't know if it was Red. We don't know if it was the Russian spy that they were friends, her mother and he were friends with. But I will absolutely be researching whether there's some kind of crossover or spiritual successor energy happening there, or if it was just a coincidence, but very interesting. So I'm telling you right now, if the internship ends up being connected to the Blacklist in any way, shape, or form, I will lose my mind. So stay tuned. And as always, tell me what you are watching. Hit me up on Instagram at I Saw This podcast or search up I Saw This podcast on Facebook. I love hearing what's on your list and what rabbit holes you've fallen into this week. All right, y'all, that wraps up this week's dive into everything I'm currently consuming. From the glamorous chaos of Palm Royale to my new obsession with surviving Mormonism, from the movies I'm counting down all the way into 2026, to the audiobook that has me confused but committed. This has been a week. I hope you enjoyed my review of It, Welcome to Derry, mainly episode 8, the finale. And honestly, that's what I love about sharing this space with you. We get to explore all these worlds together, one twist, one episode, and one trailer at a time. If something I talked about today ends up on your watch list, let me know. If you're spiraling over a show I haven't touched yet, definitely let me know. I love hearing what you're into, what you're loving, what you're hate watching, and what you're obsessing over. This community is built on curiosity, conversation, and a shared love of storytelling. Messy, beautiful, chaotic storytelling. So until next time, keep watching, keep listening, keep exploring, and keep sending me your recommendations. I'll be right here, consuming way too much content so you don't have to, or so you absolutely will. Talk to you soon.